we think it's important because a lot of things have given to us or shown to us that is important. But nobody asked the fundamental question if it's really important or not. And because of that, society, especially in the modern society, have a very, distorted way of looking at things, because we were never taught when we were young how to think. And then not only how to think, then you need to start thinking what to think. What is actually important to think, right? Because when you were young, especially in this generation, everything we see in TV is that what they want us to think.
We are controlled.
Yes. Control over your thoughts, or at least expanding the horizon of your thoughts. And I see this is something that unfortunately people are not doing. And I'm trying to teach and explain how things actually can be much better if you do change your perspective on, on your lifestyle. But everything starts with the mind. If you can control your mind, and if you can, let's say, change how you see, but you will see how you change. That is a Zen proverb, by the way. See how you change. Change how you see and see how you change. So combining the two, I can say, is still a struggle for me. It's not something that is easy to master, because one is the inner peace, the inner philosophy, the inner energy that you're looking for to find real lasting happiness. Because I think deep down we are all looking for that. But everybody has a different point of view of what happiness is. And Zen does help you to prioritize what is long-lasting happiness, not short-term, because everybody can make short-term happiness. It does really not mean long-term happiness.
It is temporary.
It is temporary. The majority of what we live in the modern society, it is short-term. Why? Because if it's short-term, it's marketable, it's sellable. If it's long-term, it's not sellable. Right? If I'm going to sell you a product, I cannot sell you if it's long term. I need to sell you something that is short term. That's how I make money. So, of course, we need to also think in the society that we live in. We live in a capitalist society, and there are some challenges in a capitalist society, how you see certain things. And regarding the signs, well, that's another topic, which is understanding oneself. Understanding what are we able to, let's say, interact with other signs, right? Because everybody has a different sign, of course, based on when they were born. And then from there, you establish what are your strengths and weaknesses, and how you can, let's say, combine your social environment to who you are, right? And it's interesting. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll interrupt. So I talk about one person, and I talk about his or her characteristics and behaviors. On point comments coming from you. How it could be so accurate? I mean, it is not like scientifically accurate, probably, but it is like very accurate. So, yeah.
If I can finish my book in time, then for sure it will be part of the explanation. The accuracy comes from trial and error. When I was studying the signs, it took me more time to analyze the data, to analyze on people's, predisposition. So basically acting without thinking. Because the predisposition only shows when you are not in control, when you are out of your control, when you're doing things without thinking, basically. That is the only way to actually accurately understand a person's predisposition. So let's say if I have a conversation with you, I can never know which sign you are, because how you have grown up in society, it's nurture, right? In psychology, we say nurture is the fundamental basis of how you are. It's true. I mean, how you've grown up, it's part of your development, and I can never deny that. But there is instinctively a part of you that is you. And what I'm trying to understand first is understanding you without the interference of all the society that taught you to do, right? Because when I talk to you, it can be you, or it can be also the person that you want me to think about you. This is also a let's say a topic of discussion.
Yeah, they're
Um,
fast.
yeah,
People,
but when I know your day of birth, in the Chinese astrology, it does explain that there are certain characteristics that you are more prone to be. Those characteristics can only be shown with time. And if I don't have time, I will never know unless I know your sign. And if I know your sign, I would say I would know how to interact with you. I know how to, to understand how to approach you. This is very useful in business. And while I was helping in China with certain companies, we were talking about, when HR was hiring people through the signs. It is very interesting topic, because they look at the predisposition of people, and then they would, let's say, assume, although it's a bad word, but let's say they give you an initial thought of how that person might be. Some might be more sociable, some might be less sociable, some may be more analytical, some may be more creative. It's never 100% like, or you're creative or you're not. It's more about the degree of how much creativity compared to another, how much social openness are you to another. It's never saying, oh, you're not sociable. No, of course not. Everybody will be sociable, but there are degrees to the level of that social ability. And for example, if you work in business, where I talk to a lot of business people, they tend to be very high in social ability. And then from there, you can establish which signs are more predisposed. Now, again, if you're telling, because some people say, well, then if you are, you train yourself to be sociable, of course, you can train yourself to be sociable. The point of the sign is to see what are the unique features that you can learn very fast, or that is natural to you. That is the point of the sign. That is the point of understanding the sign. If you're good at certain things, it will take you much faster to process certain things and be able to be good at certain things. Now, for example, if you are, let's put it, if you are a person who does not like to talk in public and is afraid of talking in public, of course, if you take courses and training and effort, you will be a good speaker. But if you take somebody who is naturally born to be a good speaker, he will take for sure half of the time, even less than that, to be able to perform better than the person that needs to take a lot of courses, a lot of training to overcome. And that was the point of the sign, to understand who you are really and to meet what is your full potential.
Yeah, I have a question. I was thinking if it might be a self-fulfilling prophecy as well, because we expect people to behave certain way. There's a clever hands experiment in psychology. You know that? So there's a horse, and the horse actually can do math, like
All right.
and stuff like that. But some researchers actually told that it is because the expectations and mimics and gestures, excitement that the horse feel coming from the people around. When the horse are actually doing the math problems, like calculations.
Okay.
My question, this is just like a hypothesis.
Yeah, please.
So just because we are expecting a person who was born in certain year would expect in certain ways, it may be affecting the person's behaviors. This is one aspect of it, and the other aspect could be like the circumstances, the happenings here could also affect the behaviors of a person. Like, let's say a person was born in 2023 or 20
Okay.
when the virus is going around the world. Let's say this will be a different baby than another baby who was born in 1990, let's say. The life circumstances can affect the social aspect of the spectrum, could affect the situation or the personality. This is just a question I'm just throwing. People who are listening to that podcast, mostly don't know anything about that. That's why I just, I would love to clarify what is it and how can we approach it? How can understand it better?
How to understand it?
In
It's not easy. I can already start with that. It does take a lot of time and dedication to understand because everything is quite profound. That's why you have people who study this and who are able to provide you with insight. For example, you are also a person who, in the spiritual world, more prepared because maybe other people are not, willing or don't have time. So they consult with people who have that experience to get a clarity on the direction that they should be taking. Of course, this is a open book. They can learn it by themselves. And this is the beauty of it. But it does require a lot of time. It requires a lot of dedication, a lot of understanding, because there's also contradictions within the science. But understanding that contradiction is where I'm also fascinated. Because a person is, the basis of the psychological pattern of a person is nurture and nature. Of course, nature is how you were born, like who you are, and the predisposition of the sign is part of that nature. It's a very small part. I would say it could be only 15%. But even if it's 15%, it does tell you a lot, even in a relationship, especially in a relationship. People always ask a relationship advice based on the sign. Why? Because they say, well, if I'm going to live with this guy or girl for the rest of my life, maybe I should really know who I'm going to be dealing with personally, because during the date, I will never see that person in the way that the signs say. And the thing is, people tend to act out more with time because they loosen their, their barrier with a person that they live a long time. So there are certain habits that the sign will show with time, and that's why a lot of relationship does not match, because people are interested in the beginning in in passion, right? Attraction, passion. That is not the sign at all. And the sign only takes in effect much later, when there is no attraction, when there is no more. Of course, there could be love, but attraction is gone. So all that beginning of the energy of the attraction, where both of you compromise because there's so much attraction, will fade, because attraction has been demonstrated that will fade. So what remains is love and the predisposition of personality of you or another person. So of course, it is not an easy argument to break down. And please don't ever consider that this is the only reality of a person. No, a person, it's also based on how they experience their life, where they have been in their life, what did they do in their life, how did their parents or social circle affected them. Does that make a bigger impact? It can be, but we can never disconnect who we are if we understand each other based on our sign. It's a long time to think about it, but it is a long journey process to reach. So yeah, in a few words, if you really want to know yourself in the sign, hopefully my book will come out in time and you can have a read. But understand that it does take a lot of energy and time to be patient and understand who are you confronting with. If you have somebody in front of you, if you want to understand who that person is, it takes a lot of time to really come with a good conclusion for everything. And I'm trying to give a perspective that was never thought about until now.
Wonderful to hear. The Tinder experiment and the personality, coming soon in the next episode. Follow for more.